Hello everyone, Dan Illman here. Very pleased to be with David Grening outside the Pasadena Civic Auditorium right at the conclusion of the Breeders' Cup post position draw for 2023. Let's throw up the field for the Classic. And usually, Dave, these post position draws can be a bit ho-hum, especially in mile-and-a-quarter races with plenty of run up to the first turn. But there's a little bit of drama here with the two favorites drawing the opposite ends of the spectrum. Arcangelo on the rail, Arabian Night far outside.
Well, Arabian Night,
12, yes.
Yeah, speed horse, along with Saudi Crown, is in the middle. The good news for the Bob Baffert and Arabian Night fans is that Kong won the Classic here 30 years ago, in 1993, from post 12 in a 13-horse field, and he was 133 to 1. Obviously, Arabian Night will not be 133 to 1. He's actually the 3 to 1 morning line favorite on the track morning line. He's the 7 to 2 morning line favorite on Brad Free's morning line. Had a brilliant work, I thought, on Monday, or good finishing off work for the preparations here. He probably will be the favorite and a deserving one.
And the horse to beat after his win in the Pacific Classic, proving that he could get the mile-and-a-quarter, which was a question mark going into the race. Let's talk a little bit more about pace, because we do know there is speed to his inside. Most notably, the Japanese runner Derma Sotogake and also Saudi Crown. So it might be imperative for Arabian Night to kind of rate a little bit.
He's going to have to leave there. Flavian's going to have to ask him away from there and then see what Florent Giroux is going to do on Saudi Crown. And with the Japanese horses, you never know how they break from the gate. We had an incident this morning with Ushba Tesoro, who was throwing a wingding in the gate. This was Monday morning. So you never know how they break. Derma Sotogake hasn't been out since the Kentucky Derby. He was acting up in the paddock that day. So Saudi Crown is going to go, Arabian Night's going to go, and then there's going to be a little cat and mouse there. And then again, it really depends who else wants to break and get involved. I do think, just for a long shot play, one of the trainers I spoke to earlier about post positions and who was really concerned about post position was Michael Stidham on Proxy.
Yes.
He is not, I'm sure he's pretty happy with 13, to be honest with you. He wanted to be outside. He did not want to be inside. He thinks he can get the kind of trip that they want from the outside post. I kind of thought he was kind of a sneaky long shot, out of sight, out of mind type of horse. Hasn't been seen, he's been training at Keeneland, second in the Jockey Club Gold Cup. I think he benefits from that outside draw.
I think that's an excellent point. He's a horse that wears cheek pieces, but he's a horse that's very pace adaptable. And I think with Arabian Night coming out there running, Proxy can kind of follow him for a bit and then kind of tuck in maybe into the second flight and work out a beautiful trip. That's an excellent point about Proxy. Let's talk about Zandon breaking from post position 2. This is a horse that Chad's kind of taken his time. We've got a late start to here in 2023. It looks like maybe he's slowly coming into form. Perhaps he has to prove himself that he's at the elite level, but if this pace heats up, he could get the setup.
There are two horses that I think at prices could get a piece of this. I don't know if they can get the top prize, but Zandon is one. Senior Buscador is another, given what we think is going to be a fast pace. Zandon, I thought, was really good in the Woodward. Not the greatest field, but he showed himself to be competitive with the top horses early in the year. He was second to White Barrio in the Whitney. White Barrio ran a hole in the wind that day. I don't know that anybody was going to beat that horse that particular day. He ran second to Cody's Wish in the Met Mile. Met Mile might have been Cody's Wish's best race. So he's caught some really good horses when they were at the top of their game. Zandon showed himself last time. The question mark was Zandon. Obviously, he's the mile-and-a-quarter, third in the Kentucky Derby, third in the Travers, and that was last year as a 3-year-old. He's a little bit older now, 4-year-old, late in 4-year-old career. This will be his best opportunity to get it. He might just be good enough to get third, but if things kind of fall apart a little bit, maybe he pulls a surprise.
You mentioned Ushba Tesoro being a little bit cranky earlier on this week. This is a horse, of course, who won the Dubai World Cup from far back. We're at Santa Anita. This is a completely different ball game. It's usually a speed favoring track. Does that worry you at what could be a short price? He seems like a buzz horse.
He's a buzz horse. He was sort of, until he threw his wingding in the gate this morning, I was leaning toward putting him in the top spot. What you say is legit here, but the track doesn't necessarily favor that kind of close. It does look like a deep track, though, Dan. From what I've seen from the few days that I've been here as we tape this, you need stamina. You need that ability to power yourself through the deeper surface. If it stays that way, I think he's still dangerous, but he does need to break from the gate. They're going to try some things later in this week. Wednesday is going to work, and then they're going to put him in the gate and put some sort of padding behind him to see how that works. That could help him, but. I'm a little leery, a little less high on him than I was, say, before Monday morning.
Todd Pletcher entered 2, Dreamlike Bright Future. Were you surprised that Todd ultimately decided the Classic here for Dreamlike? It looked like he was leaning dirt mile early in the week. This might be sort of an 11th hour move.
Yeah, Mike Rapoli probably helped push that decision a little bit. Mike's money guy, 1 million, 6 million, which way you're going to go. If you thought Saudi Crown was legitimate in here, then he was just second to Saudi Crown. You look at the pace scenario that we described, he's going to get pace to run at. They've always liked this horse. I've always thought he was a tick overrated. Maybe, we'll see how it goes this week. Why not throw the dice? If you get the pace, maybe he can get a piece of it and sort of develop himself as a horse that might be in this spot next year.
And you talked about stayers perhaps over a D track. Bright Future will stay all day long.
He will, and he's getting good at the right time. You can throw out his Brooklyn. I don't know what happened. I don't think they know what happened. His allowance race and his Jockey Club Gold Cup were good performances up there. He's going to be sort of in the mix. I'm not saying he's going to be a rabbit at all for Dreamlike, but if somebody is sort of trying to walk the dog, or if somebody doesn't break, or whatever happens, Dreamlike's not going to be too far away. Bright Future's not going to be too far away. Johnny Velasquez is on him. He likes to be forwardly placed. That's a horse he's going to get into that second flight. Maybe he'll be sitting third. I don't know if he's good enough, but he's going to make sure that they go.
And we should briefly talk about Arcangelo breaking from the inside post. Janet Antonucci did not seem concerned at the post position draw, stating that Arcangelo had won from the rail post in the past. Javier Castellano aboard knows what to do. This horse is one from the inside, is one from the outside.
Yeah, I think Arcangelo, the biggest thing now is he's got a little bit of an issue with the hind foot. Jen doesn't seem that concerned about that, but the horse did not train on Sunday, did not train on Monday. We'll see how things go the rest of the week, but it is something to keep an eye on. It will probably lift your price if you're still staying with Arcangelo. You'll probably get a better price. I think if he had unimpeded training coming into this, I think he might have been the favorite. Now he's probably going to be third, might be second, third, maybe fourth choice on Brad Free's line. We'll see. He's no longer the buzz horse. He's is he going to make the gate horse?
What about White Abario? Because for a few moments it seemed like he was the is he going to make the gate kind of horse, missing a work here and there, but it looks like he's back on track for Rick Dutrow. And with his tactical speed and inside post position, a good trip could be coming.
He could get a good trip. He's got Irad Ortiz. I'm sure they're thrilled at the fact they were able to keep Irad Ortiz on him. Was Forte going to make it? Was Rapoli going to book him for another mount? They got to keep Ortiz. Ortiz. He's sort of the accidental classic horse. If you go back to after the Met Mile, this horse was pointed for the Forgo. He was going to be a one-turn horse. The Whitney kind of came up light on numbers, with the horse to beat being Cody's Wish. It was unproven at the mile and an eighth. They took a shot, and boy, he fired a huge shot. He'd been given 3 months off. It's a long layoff, but he ran such a big race. He probably needed the time. I thought his workout on whatever day it was solid enough. It won me over in terms of I don't have any issues with whatever was going on beforehand. He looks fine to me. I'll say it this way: if they don't let him run, they might as well not have the event. And I think he's going to be very dangerous and very tough to beat. And what a party it will be if Rick Dutrow's in the winner's circle, 18 years after St. Liam and 6 months after returning from a 10-year suspension. What a story that would be.
It is a fascinating and competitive Breeders' Cup Classic. Arabian Night, post position 12, a good amount of early speed, going to be part of what should be a solid pace in the Breeders' Cup Classic. Thank you, Dave. Exceptional analysis. Great Classic, great Breeders' Cup here at Santa Anita.